my weekly updates. I had a chance at my landlord's estate I'm at. Part of my rent, I guess I'll say, is I help around the ranch whenever I can. And so we worked cows early in the week, and first real experience with Brahman cross cattle. So let me just tell you, they got way better eyesight than most I've ever been around. It's a whole different way of like flight zones and everything. So that was really cool. He was very patient with me. I didn't get ran over. Got it figured out fairly quickly. The state extension vet was out. He's from Brazil, and a few vet students. And it was pretty hot, and we're drinking water like maniacs. And he's like, I need to take a break. And the sumbitch almost passed out because he was wearing the wrong coveralls. It was just sweating like a whore in church. And so I'm like, I don't feel so bad, getting a little thirsty because I just came from Nebraska like 3 weeks ago. So, but it's just it was a great experience. We're pregnant and giving some vaccinations and some other stuff. So to see some of the vet students and interact with them, they were third year. Some of them knew what was going on. Some did not, but they were always asking questions about why we were doing something and more importantly, how. Some of them learned how to run a squeeze chute, which I thought was interesting, but they asked, so that was really cool. So it's great to meet the vet, cool Brazilian guy, been all over the place. Really cool to see those Brahman cross cattle, and they are definitely more attuned to predators and their surroundings, like 150 yards away, fucking heads up, looking like they know. But if you're used to working around them and they know your voice and you call them a lot, you got to talk to them all the time. It was pretty cool. So I got that good chance. Nobody died, and we all learned a lot. So that was one of the high points of last week. So,
like working velociraptors.
That's probably the best description I could have came up with. Yeah, absolutely.
Are you in Cracker Cowboy country?
Yes, sir.
I don't want to say Cracker,
yes, sir,
because that would be confusing. Especially
no, actually,
but the Cracker.
That's sort of like even houses around here. It's Cracker style house.
Yeah.
But there's some cool places south of Gainesville, like Micanopy and places like that. I was down there a few weeks ago. We were delivering some calves, and I'm like, some bitch, this is like what I could picture as old school Florida Cracker Cowboy County. So it's pretty cool.
What's a Cracker Cowboy?
It's an old term for somebody from Florida country. Cracker was, some say it's about cracking the whip and that sort of thing, and it's just a slang term for white folk too, but also more specifically just Florida cowboys. So it's
I never heard that. So they have like their houses have a unique style to them, or what?
Yeah, they're sort of like a it's almost like a barn in nature. Usually just one sloped roof with a tin roof, usually open on the inside and like a front porch. They're really cool. They make some really snazzy like upper end, but it actually says in the listing like Cracker style. So it's taken on an architectural flair. But there's Spanish moss on the trees and lots of lakes and low spots, weird grass. Bahia is a new grass I've learned about. So just a different ecosystem. And
you seeing any gators around there?
I saw gator, but it was a long ways away. I haven't had any one-on-one contact, but I've seen several sinkholes, which are interesting. Yeah. And a lot of other random stuff.
Just to your west, in that little where the panhandle comes in,
mm-hmm.
you're sort of down, and if you drove like directly west, you'd be sort of where the panhandle starts going south.
A little further south, but not too much for that.
Like that's the first pod of manatees is right there. So you're like
okay.
Manatees too. The whole time I was down in Florida during the hurricane, I never went and saw a manatee, and I was such a hurry to get out of there after a month that I passed on that. But I want to see a manatee.
Oh yeah. So like basically due west of me is like Steinahachie, and then Horseshoe Beach is south of that, and then Lower Swanee. The Suwannee River is to my west.
That river mouth is where they hang out.
Okay, cool. I'm going to go down there next weekend, I think. I want to go check out Cedar Key. Cedar Key is like 3 miles off the coast, a little community, like 700 people. So,
oh wow!
But it's sort of like an hour drive to my office from there. So I'm like, I might go get some real Florida interaction. Yeah. So, yeah, still a lot to explore, but learning a lot already.
Just to go back to the crackers, yeah, they predominantly when I was in Russia, I worked with a guy that cowboy in Florida quite a bit, and he brought his cracker bullwhip with him to Russia to impress the
cool.
Russians. So it is a predominant piece of equipment those hands in Florida use.
Yeah. There's also
I didn't even realize there was
I
didn't realize there was like a cattle ranch culture out there at all.
I think it's the third largest producer of cattle in the United States.
Mm-hmm. It's battled back and forth at times between California and Texas. Yeah. Lots of cows. A really cool history. I have a book even on my desk about the Florida Cowboys right here in my little hacienda. There's still some places where they used to bring them in on ships from Cuba. Yeah. So
oddly enough, stuff. Mormon Deseret Ranch has a big hold down there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's substantial. Just a couple hours south of here. Yeah. I've been there, and then there's a family called the Kempfers, who are just south of them, which makes some amazing cattle. George and Henry, I got to meet them a couple years ago, and some of their genetics are in my buddy's herd right now. So they're amazing cattle too. Yeah,
lowest input.
It's really cool.
Of probably any cattle herd in the United States. What it costs to raise a cow in Florida is probably 30-40% cheaper than what it costs to raise a cow anywhere else in the United States.
Easily, yeah, and that's even so up north here we're a little harsher, but as far as you go south, it's even better than it is anywhere else. And I just that blows my mind because like my buddy's got a rotation going on in his pastures, and like so we had some milo and some bahia grass and some other stuff in this pasture when I first got here, and they'd mowed it off pretty good. It was probably 65-70% utilization, which what they were going for. Put them in another pasture, and like we were there a couple days ago, and that the Milo's 3 foot tall now, and the Bahia's going crazy, and so they're going to go back in there, and so it's weird because you mow it down after you put them in a place too, then you come in and you bush hog it sometimes to get it all started over again, and then coffee weeds, like a coffee bean plant that's like a weed. So learning all the different weeds and such too, but like we light fires pretty much every day. Yeah.
Not only are they like velociraptors, they're velociraptors on caffeine.
Yes. Indeed. Yes. So that explains the extra alertness. Yeah, it's hilarious. Yeah. Very, very aware, smart, interesting cattle. Yeah, it's been fun to work with them. But yeah, we have big old brush piles everywhere, and like you just drive by and light them on fire and keep going. Like you don't have to worry about burning season because like it freaking rains every afternoon, So
20 minutes, it hasn't rained yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm really shocked it hasn't been. It was pouring down this afternoon. I had a video call for work, and like I had like my hands like shoving my headphones in my ears because it's so loud on my tin roof. It sounds like 1,000 ants are flying over the top of your head. It's crazy. So, anyways.
I have one last question about Florida.
Yeah, absolutely. This is our time, boys. Yeah.
So is Grangeville like the cow town in Florida, or is there another one that's more predominantly sort of the central hub of Florida cattle?
Okeechobee, I think, is probably. And then there's some great ranches like over on the coast, like St. Augustine. What's the name of that ranch? The Phillips Ranch is a huge. Right on we're almost on the coast, but Okeechobee's got a pile of both beef cows and dairy cows. There's decent amount here south of here. So yeah, almost anywhere you can have a flat spot for a cow where she won't drown. They're going to have them.
Dairy makes sense in Florida. That's like something but is it, which herd's larger, the dairy herd or the cattle herd? Probably cattle are less maintenance.
I think cattle are, because dairy cows get too hot. Like, and you got to have a ton of fans on them because your production just takes a dump. There's some huge dairies, but I think beef cattle outnumbered dairy cows. Would be my guesstimate. Yeah.
What kind of beef cows are they? Not that I know a whole lot, but like I feel like sometimes I go places and their cows don't look like our cows.
These will look different. Yeah, they're different cows. They got a lot of Indicus influence, which means they come from. So they're gonna have like bunchy skin. They're gonna look like a Brahman bull with the hump sometimes, or a Brangus, which is a cross between a Brahman and an Angus cow, and then like 19 different variations of that. Some Nellore, which is right from South America cow, but they're all going to be like bigger kind of frame than you're used to seeing. They got different skin. They're light colored usually. Some brindle colored though that are pretty cool looking. But yeah, they got bigger ears. They got big wattles on their neck. They're built for heat. And so they've put a lot of time into making genetics where you still get good maternal instincts, and most importantly, like good meat quality, because for a long time, like they didn't have a lot of that. They were just surviving. But when you did have a cat, you're like yeehaw. But now they've got a lot of good genetics they've been working on too, that they can survive the heat, live on this washy grass, and do a pretty good job.
And the beef all tastes about the same. Like, would it taste the same as like? What is it out here? Are they Hereford cows out here?
No.
Yeah, Angus, some Hereford, Red Angus. Not many Hereford anymore, but
yeah,
British breeds, as they would say. Yeah. So that's the major. Got Bos Taurus and Bos Indicus. And Taurus are the ones that are mostly up in y'all's part of the world. And
sounds like
Indicus.
You're talking about weed strains or something.
Are you seeing any Santa Gertrudis and Beefmaster?
I've not seen them. I know there's quite a few down here, a lot of Gerts and some Beefmaster for sure too. But I think it just depends on who they know in Texas and how many Beefmasters or Gerts they got running around. But
the King Ranch, does it still have a little hold in Texas, in Florida?
I think so. I've not been there. I've been in Texas, but not been over this one. I'll have to find out. Yeah, I got a lot of research to do still on Florida beef cattle presence, but yeah, we had some. I cooked some ribeyes the other night that they didn't appeal to be very marbled, but they were extremely tender, phenomenal, and that's from some of that Kempfer genetics, which are pretty impressive. They've been focused on tenderness for like 15, 20 years, and so it didn't look like a supreme steak, but it was really tasty and very tender.
This brings me to my newest rant.
Ooh. Welcome to Richard's newest rant.
I always get jumped on by people when I'm talking about grass-fed, because I talk about it too much, but because the people feel
inconceivable.
People feel like I'm putting down conventional cattle, which I'm trying to back off to and not doing. And they're like, there's nothing better than a grain-fed, like continental breed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, and I just don't I'm producing for a certain customer base that wants this product. And I think that there's this I think that this traditional, this in the ranching industry, this thing that the highest quality, best piece of meat that you can get is grain-fed, Midwestern, stocky, fed 190, 300 days, is sort of a misnomer. And I think that we're beginning to find out that there's a great variety of different subtle flavors that come with different breeds and different types of environments, and that people are starting to identify those more. And different flavor profiles have different appeal to different people. And a lot of it's
much like wine.
Yeah,
I think.
And I think we're a long ways from it yet, but I think that as we mature, as far as understanding rangeland animals and stuff, that it's sort of like recognizing seasonality. Like, it's not really good to have avocados in Wisconsin in February. I mean, we can do it.
They didn't come from there, probably. Yeah.
But there's probably a lot of stuff that in that environment, you'd have more roots and tubers in the falls and the winters and that stuff. And having, I just found these candy grapes They're amazing. But normally we would be consuming those. Every region has a different type of goat or a different breed of animal or a different type of ruminant that's particular to that region, different types of sheep, thorax, pigs, all the way across the board. So I think as we concentrate on understanding our own food sheds more, we need to drop some of these preconceived notions of what is the most proper, what is the highest and best use of the animal. Because
that's great.
Because I can guarantee you that these Akiushi calves that we're raising, which are not from here, but they're converting grass, they taste really good. And I'd put a well-marbled Akiushi grass-fed calf up against any grain-fed any day. And we've been living off them primarily now for the last 16 months, and I'm impressed with it.
It's tasty.
Yeah.
I tell you, yeah, I'm a picky sumbitch when it comes to a steak. Like, I rarely order one at the restaurant, like, ever. Semiotti's and the Nebraska Club, about the 2 places I'd ever order a steak and know I was going to enjoy it, mostly because you just don't get what you're hoping for. I've had that Akiushi. I bought some from Heart Brand several times. Damn good. The ribeyes I cooked the other night, like, I would not have bought them in the store just by looking at them.
Right.
I think I even have a picture of them before I cooked them. But they were phenomenal. So yeah, you're right. That's going to keep evolving, I think, and options are going to be there. And I think that's so cool. And I think it's good to keep trying that and pressing it forward and seeing what you might like and what you can make. And like you said, I'm making it for people looking for this. So, you might be looking for it. You just don't know it yet.
The
I think you need to send some to Joel.
I learned about is pigs. So there's a guy in pigs that's trying to get a grass-fed. There's focus on pasture-raised pigs, and the genetics of the pigs are so geared towards that barn system, and certain types of feed and a certain level of medication to keep them going, that he actually has to ferment milk to supplement them as he's developing them. And each generation, he picks the ones that go off of the best, and he keeps those and he breeds them back. And every time he can get them to convert more grass and not be so reliant on the grains and the different other types of inputs that the commission had. The meat that his pigs are producing are as red as a beef. That white.
I bet so, yeah.
So I think as the agriculture systems change and demands of customers change, we'll find that there's a great amount of variety in meat that we may have walked away from 50 or 60 years ago that we're going to start bringing back.
Well, yeah, I think we're constantly pushing towards efficiency, and maximizing what I can do per square foot of land, be it with a cow or with a grain or with a pig or a chicken or whatever. That's got us to where we're at, which in some regards is absolutely amazing with the science we're able to take advantage of. However, we've become diversified enough, I think, in our economy and our taste that we're going to be looking for these other crafted ways of having that product also. And if people can figure out how to market that properly, they're still going to make money, maybe even more on a per unit basis. And I think it's going to continue to expand. And that's just awesome to see. I think it's amazing. But that's undoing a lot of really focused and intense selection to get back to the other part. But, it won't take that many generations, I think, to get where he wants to be.